This is our 22nd Wild Ideas shopping event. It raises money for the Wildflower Center's education and research programs. It features specials at our store and book signings and demos and trunk shows and just general fun, big discounts and what have you. It's a 4-day event. We have artists and artisans in our visitors gallery. And it's an edited selection group of artists and artisans that we've chosen whose work relates to our cause, has to do with nature or wildflowers or natural materials. And it's all indoors, so there's usually about a dozen people. It's not this massive type thing. Oh, it's great. It's a wonderful cause. Great people. The Wildflower Center is an environmental organization. It's not just a botanical garden. It's not just about Austin. It's a North American environmental organization dedicated to the use and propagation of native plants in home and planned landscapes and wherever, because the importance of native plants should be self-evident, but people are just kind of catching on the past few years. Mrs. Johnson was ahead of her time on all of this.
Got fortunate enough to work with mesquite almost exclusively, and if you don't know it, there's like 60 million acres of mesquite in Texas, and it started with the cattle drives after the Civil War coming out of Mexico, and now 60 million acres. And it's most known for ranchers really dislike it because it's invasive, it's a survivor, and it puts shade on their grass, which they don't like. Most people use it probably as a fuel source for either fires or barbecue. It's got a great aroma and stuff. They don't really realize that mesquite is one of the most unique woods in the world, in that it's shrinkage, and there's 2 dimensions of shrinkage, and the disparity in those 2 numbers is what makes it either stable or unstable, prone to crack, split, or warp. And mesquite's is 2.2% and 2.6%, very stable. If you've ever done pottery or art of any kind, but especially woodworking, when you apply a tool to a piece of spinning wood and you start making these curves and shapes and so forth, there's something that just really caught my imagination years ago. And watching a shape unfold there, it's just like magic, And a potter will probably tell you the same thing. In fact, I've asked a lot of different artists, 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional, kind of what their process is and what they see. They're all unique.
I've been doing pottery for almost 40 years. I took my first pottery class at the University of Texas when my son was born, and he'll be 38 in February. I do this now. I've got a studio at my home, and I do this now as time permits. I like working with my hands. It's a very tactile medium. And at the time, I was actually majoring in painting at the University of Texas. And I loved doing brushwork, but I didn't think I was a very good painter. I liked the 3-dimensional form, and again, I just really loved the process of making pots. I also liked the thought. This was a long time ago when people thought that this might be a good idea to make pottery as a sort of a career trajectory. And so I did it, actually made a living at it for well over 20 years. I enjoy every bit of the process. I love all of my pots are thrown on a potter's wheel, and I love working at a potter's wheel. As you get better and better at something like that, you can forget yourself in the work, and it just becomes the work. And it's quite a lovely place to be. I still, after almost 40 years, am excited each time I unload a kiln. I've been doing a very similar style of work. It's porcelain, it's high-fired. I've got a great big kiln in my backyard. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of pots to fill the kiln. And it's still an extraordinarily exciting and lovely thing to open a kiln.
And I say, I'm glad we have things like this.
I do.
Takes into account the history of the area, the way the architecture reflects it and all, done in the Southwest style more or less. using the natural materials. I think they incorporated it quite well and all. I didn't know this was here. I thought it was in Zilker Park.
I know there's a botanical garden in Zilker Park,
I
but
thought,
I know.
the Wildflower Center was part of it. The botanical gardens. I didn't realize that.